Hey everybody, welcome back to Enhance Don't Distract. I'm Justin, my co-host Jordan. It looks a little different in here today. We are actually in transition to moving back to being in person recording.
That sounded a little bit weird, but yeah.
We're in transition?
We're in the same place.
Jordan.
We actually live in the same town, so.
We're going from recording remotely to recording in the same space. And so the studio is going to change probably over the next couple of videos. But right now, welcome back, Jordan. It's weird. It's like I can actually high-five you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been to the office before.
I know.
In the studio.
But not when we were recording.
Yeah, that's true.
It's been quite a while.
Yeah.
So today we've got a couple, like a comment and an email that we wanted to go over.
Yeah.
But first, you want to start with prayer?
Yeah, let's do it.
Great.
Heavenly Father, yeah, just thank you for this day. Thank you for that we're able to get together and just share some ideas and talk through things. Lord, just pray that you'd guide the conversation. And yeah, thanks for those that are listening and just edify them and bless them. And thank you for our whole team. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Before we get started, remember this podcast only exists because of Enhance AVL. Like without that company, this podcast doesn't exist. So if you are in need of anything, systems design, help, training, education, purchasing of any equipment, please reach out to us, Justin or Jordan at enhanceavl.com. And before we get going, also make sure you subscribe.
Yep.
Hit the subscribe button. It's super important for the algorithm, all that kind of jazz.
And comment down below.
Comment down below. It doesn't even have to be related to the podcast.
No, yeah.
Just comment.
Yes.
Say, hey, Jordan, you look great today.
Yeah, just got a haircut.
Because he does. Look at that. You're looking dapper.
Also, you can also leave in the comment who you think is taller, Justin or Jordan. I'll just leave this. I'm on a shorter couch here.
I've apparently injured his ego on accident. Do you want me to get you a cushion to put under your butt?
No, I'm good.
Okay.
Let's keep moving.
Okay. All right. So we got a comment from, I don't even know how to put it, Zeb McCall 2610 from a couple weeks ago on our gain structure video.
Yep. Thank you.
So yeah, thank you for commenting. He said, make sure you go check out this video. So what gain structure is talking about like how you should set your gain on your console, right?
Yep.
So he said, I just came across your video. So I have an X32. I'm assuming most of you guys do. And I know that my gain should be at -18 for line level. My question is, what is a good level dB for left-right main speakers, or would you determine that by the SPL meter for your room?
You're the audio person in this scenario.
I would say that when I set gain structure for a console and a PA, I dump pink noise into the console, and I put the gain structure on the console where it needs to be. Then from there, I would set my main PA, like the DSP, to a specific volume.
Based on SPL in
based on SPL and my ear, right? What do I feel like is too loud?
Yeah.
Right. And what is it saying dB wise? So a lot of times, yeah, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, and based on your experience too, you're also like, man, I am like really high in this gain, but not feeling it in the room. And you might go back and look at the kind of gain structure throughout the signal chain. And
yeah, so I mean, keeping your system as simple as possible is the big thing, right? So it's like as long as you don't have multiple things in the way, like you really shouldn't have more than a single DSP between your soundboard and your main speakers. So, for instance, like in the acoustics world, the amplifiers are the DSP, right?
Yep.
A lot of manufacturers are going that direction. They have DSP built into them.
Yep.
So you really shouldn't need anything else between your amplifiers and your soundboard. So in that scenario, if you do have an amplifier that doesn't have DSP and you need to put like, say, like a DBX drive rack or, you know, a QSYS core or something along those lines in there to
some external
process audio, right?
Yep.
The idea is, you know, if you've ever turned on like, you're like listening to a podcast and it's like kind of quiet, you turn it like up really loud.
Oh yeah.
And then like it ends and the next one comes on and it's actually mastered correctly and you're like, oh
Yeah.
Usually like every time
I've got a hilarious story about this.
Every time I've gone into a place where I've corrected that, right? We had a client recently where they had a broadcast console and their gain structure was set up really poorly. And so they were struggling to get enough volume.
Right.
So we went in, didn't even have the PA on. We just started setting the gain on the console, the main console, that was then feeding, into, because that was the preamp, right?
Right.
And then it was dumping into Dante, and then the Allen Heath console was pulling in from Dante. And they were like, oh yeah, right there. Like we can all of a sudden, like we can hear everything now. And we're like, yeah, no, that's great. So then we turned on the PA, and it was like, oh God, it's so loud, it's so loud, it's so
Where's
loud.
the master? Where's the master?
Yeah. So then that's when we started pulling back the L-Acoustics PA to match that gain structure of the console. So that's the big problem that I've seen with, and I don't want to say big problem. I've seen that happen when a manufacturer comes out, because like you can, on the higher end stuff like L-Acoustics and D&B, like you can dump audio right into the amplifiers without ever touching the soundboard.
Yeah.
So like this whole possibility of going, this sounds great. Like I tuned it, sounds good. And then it's like, well, you switch over to the console and it's a little bit different. And it's like, well, you should probably check that. Most of them do that now. And I think that it's just sometimes that's just like oh crap, I just forgot.
Yeah.
But yeah, so yes, monitor SPL, and then feel it out, right? Put it at its loudest level that you think it can be when there's no one in the room, and say, does this feel like this is going to kill everyone?
Yeah.
Right. And my thought is like, it should always sound more loud than what you feel like you're going to actually run it at, so that you have headroom.
Yes.
Right.
That's the word, headroom.
Right. Hey, like this is louder than I think I'll ever run it, but it's not so loud that it's overbearing. So that if we do pump up to this level, people aren't going to be like, my ears are bleeding. I think that's the key. Right.
Yeah.
So, and I think most people mix in like that high 90s range. Right. And it's like at a loud like level.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like, I think if you're
full 90. Yeah.
Yeah. Like if you're in the high 90s, low hundreds at like it's like maximum capacity, I think that's pretty good.
Yeah.
In my opinion, if you're running contemporary modern worship.
Yep.
So you said you had a story about that?
Yeah, I was doing some editing years ago in a smaller editing suite outside of Chicago, and I'm sitting in the room like editing this piece, and there's another editor in the other room. I think he was just kind of surfing the web, and like for like a hot second, I just hear this like blast of audio, and then like he kills whatever was playing. I don't even know what was playing, but then I just hear him scream from the other room, "Can nobody on the internet do an effing level anymore?" I just started cracking up.
Well, dude, that was like a serious.
Because he was seriously like pissed off because it was really loud.
Dude, well, and that's a serious problem. That like you remember like back in the day. I mean, we don't have this problem now with streaming services, but I remember like watching TV and then like a commercial would come on and like I used to think that they would make the commercials louder because they knew we were getting up and going to like the kitchen.
Yeah.
In between like the wall, like.
I mean, it was just like a common thing with streams. It's like, man, I cannot get any more volume here. Like, what is the deal?
Yeah.
And that was, I think, like early on when I was streaming, just doing different events, like I was always like, all right, how is the audio? Like, if you have to play it at full volume, like it's not going to sound good. Like like I almost like tested streams volume with like its volume down a little bit.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I think gain structure was one of those things that I never really got taught, and I know that like.
Yeah,
I've had other like people like go, oh, put your fader at 0 and then, turn your gain up until it's like at the loudest you think you would ever be, and then pull that fader back a little bit.
Yeah. And
some of that works too, but I don't think what that doesn't do is that doesn't give every single input the same amount. Right. And so like when we broke down the MXU stuff, like what Lee talks about in that video, I think is so important, right? Is that he wants every input, right? Because like this microphone comes in at a different volume and a different level than like an SM58 or an acoustic guitar or the piano mic.
Yeah.
Right. So like imagine trying to mix this and a piano mic, and it's like, okay, but if I put both of those at the same level, right now, I don't have to like go, well, I want this mic louder, but I got to pull it back because I can't hear this other thing, right? And then everything starts to sound like mush, right? It gives you the actual balance and control that you want, because everything's at an equal playing field, and then you're actually mixing with the faders like you're supposed to be,
right?
And I think that that's the big thing. And then adding into that, you no longer have like the in-ear person going, oh my gosh, like I can't hear, BGV number 3 who's leading this song. It's like, no, everyone's vocal, all the BGVs, all the guitars, they all have the same level, right? And then everyone has full control. Same thing
Yeah.
dumps into broadcast, dumps into floor wedges, whatever that may be. Everything starts at equal playing field, which is something that was never really taught to me.
Yeah.
And so it's like, now that I have that concept, it's like, I can't go back.
Yeah. And that just becomes way more important as you have more consoles, more ears, more in-ears, more wedges.
Yeah.
Having that equal playing field.
Yeah.
So good comment. Thanks for asking.
Yes, thank you so much. Yeah, one thing I did find out though is that analog 0, there's 3 levels that analog 0 is at. So it's negative 12, negative 16, and negative 18.
Mm-hmm.
So your console will be one of those as your negative 0, as your analog 0. I mean,
okay,
which reference back to that video.
Okay.
For gain structure. So,
okay,
yes, cool.
Yeah, it's a little update.
Yeah, man. All right, mailbag. So we're
and then
we
had an email.
You want to read the email, or you want me to?
You can read it.
Okay. All right. So this is from a lady named Kristen. She said, "Hi there. My name is Kristen, and I recently took over leadership of our production department. The department is a bit decimated with folks with technical knowledge. And I was Googling an issue. We're having it, and this is an issue that we've talked about, at least I've talked about on the channel.
Yep.
Videos getting flagged. We have posted our CCLI number within the videos. We often get flagged, but when I came into the department, I was told, in quotes, it's not that big of a deal because we know that we have the licensing, and then we're not disregarding the law, and also because it hasn't been blocked in our area. Well, one of our most impactful services, where we had 70 baptisms, holy crap, that's a big deal.
Nice.
Was flagged and says 89% of our viewing audience can't watch it. We haven't historically been putting the CCLI number in the body of the description on YouTube, just within the actual video itself. That's the only thing I can think of that would flag it. I'm just someone who isn't well versed in how we got flagged and how not to get flagged again, how to unflag this. And I'm leading people who don't know either. Can you please help? Yeah. So I've not responded to her yet. So this will be the response. And then I'll actually respond to her.
Yeah.
So I have a video.
Yep.
A couple videos about this.
Yep. Because you've dived into this a little bit.
Yeah, so when I was on staff at my last church, it was a big deal because I do believe that we're supposed to avoid the appearance of evil, right? So just because we have the license and we know we're not doing something wrong, getting flagged is still something that is like, it's not a good thing.
Right. And that's what I would just start off with is like, good on you for going after this because, yeah, you don't want your stuff flagged. You don't want things taken down. Because they will eventually, I think, just catch up with you in this manner. So
yeah. So originally, so you can buy and pay for music services for video editing for like YouTube videos, and they give you a license number. So like for instance, like we use Soundstripe. Soundstripe, you can generate a license, right? And it's just a collection of numbers and letters, and you can put that in the description of your YouTube channel, of your YouTube video.
Yep.
And so when YouTube says, hey, this is owned by Jordan, right? Hey, Jordan, in the description, there's this number. Does that match up? Are you okay with this?
Right.
And you go, oh, yeah, that's a license that I gave them. They're good to go, right?
Yep.
And there's no flag, right? There's a computer that's doing all of that. So it's not a person going, ha-ha.
Yeah.
Click, click, click. So when it came to the CCLI stuff and they started doing streaming licenses and all that kind of jazz, I couldn't get a straight answer from anyone, and I still can't get anyone from CCLI to actually come on the podcast and talk about this. So CCLI, if you're listening to this, please come on the podcast.
We got extra room on the
conversation so that we can get this all ironed out for people the best we can. The other issue is that YouTube is constantly changing and updating how they're doing things. So it's kind of like we kind of have to ebb and flow with them as well.
Yep.
So what we started to do is I started taking my CCLI license and putting in the description of the video, as well as you are legally required to put the CCLI license at the beginning or end of every song you perform. Has to be on either the first slide or the last slide, as long as it is presented. That's all that matters.
Yep.
Same goes for in person. If you're not putting your CCLI number on the screen in your sanctuary, you're breaking the law. You need to do that.
Technically.
So, just so you know. So that worked for a good 3 or 4 months, and then it stopped working. We started getting flagged.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, this is really weird. So what I started to do is you can go and you can, what's the word? Hey, that's not right. I shouldn't be being flagged right now.
Oh, like refute it? Or
yeah,
dispute it?
Yeah, dispute it. Thank you.
Yep.
Dispute it. So dispute it. And they say, why are you disputing this? And it's because I have a license.
Yeah.
Here's my license. Here's my CCLI license that I pay for to allow me to do this.
Yep.
That would take the flags off. And that worked for another couple of months. Then YouTube updated again.
Mm-hmm. Then
disputes started not really working. So I got into an actual argument with a subsidiary of Sony Music about, I don't even remember which song it was that we performed. But we performed a song. We got flagged for it. I went through, disputed it, put my CCLI license in.
Did all the things. And then it got declined. And I then went, and you can go one step further and say, I would like to talk to whoever's declining it to get an explanation as to why it's getting declined. And so their response was, your license allows you to perform it. We're not, because for instance, like if you were to play a Taylor Swift song on your video, right? Taylor Swift or the label or whoever is managing her stuff can go, no, not at all, zero, zilch, take the video down, right? The video no longer exists. Yeah. They also have the opportunity to say, you know what? We don't want that in these countries, right? Yep. And then, okay, so your video can't be seen in these countries, right? Mm-hmm. Or they can just mute that portion of the video, so on and so forth, right? There's a bunch of different options that they have. Yep. Or they can say, hey, we just want credit for it. We're going to flag it and say, no, this is us. It's a Jesus Culture song. Yep. We want people to know that Jesus Culture is by us. It's by our album. Us, right? Yep. It's by us, right? It wasn't a Jesus Culture album that just popped in my head. It's just an example. We're also not doing Taylor Swift worship songs either.
No. So that was kind of the label's response. Hey, no, like you're not in trouble, right? Because like there's technically a hard strike, right, which goes against your channel. Yep. You get too many hard strikes and they literally deactivate your account. Yep. Right. Yep. They suspend you for a little bit and then they'll bring you back and you keep getting them. Then they deactivate your account and it's gone. Yep. And that's a serious deal. And that's a serious scariness for people.
You do not want that.
So their response was like, it's not a hard strike. It's technically a soft strike, which doesn't really exist, but it's like, it's not really a strike, right? They were just saying like, hey, that's our Michael W. Smith song that we own. Yeah. Right. So I'm just going to start saying out random like worship leaders. Yeah. Just, as our examples. And I said, yeah, but the whole point, like, because now that's on there, that now put ads in front of our video. Yep. Right. And I'm like, I don't want ads in front of my video, and you can turn ads off in your YouTube channel now. Yep. So it's like you don't get ads in front of your church service, but because they flagged it and said we own that, you're not in trouble. Now there's ads in front of that video because they're going to get a royalty for it. Yeah. And that's how they get paid. And so I argued with this lady and I was like, but what is the point of my license then? And her response was,
what am I paying for?
Her response was, talk to CCLI. So I emailed CCLI and they said, it's the law. And I'm like, but what law? Like the point of buying a license is so that I can do this without having these issues happen. Right, right. And that just wasn't what was going to happen. So I will tell you that I hate the idea of just letting flags go.
I'm with you on that.
But I don't know what else to do at this point. Yeah. Until I can get someone from CCLI or YouTube to come on the podcast and actually talk to us about it. The thing is, I would post that CCLI license in your description. I would post it on the screen. Yep. Let the flag go. You can dispute them. Some of them will still accept the disputes. Yep. Right. Some of them, and I don't know if that lady was just like, if that license actually does what I think it does, and she was just like, no, we're gonna make some money off you, right? We ended up just chopping the worship off anyways. Yeah. And it's like, I don't really know, unless you're performing your own songs, I don't know why you would leave your worship up, That's my personal opinion.
I could also see it being advantageous of, just trimming out the worship and having that baptism or the sermon and that time and
Right.
just posting that.
And
So,
I would say 89%, you know, like there's part of me that asked the question, because I don't know, right? I'm not in her analytics, is, you know, is that 89% really actually hindering us? That's I think a question that I would have. And for something personal like baptisms, if the idea is like, oh, we had family members overseas that wanted to see this and it's blocked, then I would say that I don't think it's a big deal to take that one specific part of that service and upload that to another service that can be shared to everyone that got baptized. You should already be getting everyone's contact information, right?
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
maybe sending out a blast email saying, hey, I know that all 70 of you just got baptized. Here's a copy of the
link
baptism.
of the video. Yep.
You know, if you need to share it with anyone out overseas, you know, because social media
or just even have a record of it, or
just
whatever.
all those kind of things. It does get fickle. It is really hard. It does suck.
Yeah.
But there's not really a real solid answer that I've been able to get to.
Yeah.
I'm sure there is, but music industry is just
there's
7,000 layers deep.
Yeah. I think one of the things I'm learning, and I'm no lawyer, like you're not.
Yeah, I'm not a
lawyer.
I'm not an
so
attorney
this is
either.
not a lawyer. We don't have lawyer advice in here or anything like that. But there is a lot of gray, and things are decided in court, and and also it's somewhat of a money making thing. So
and again, I mean, I'm a firm believer of, you know, you're not doing your own stuff.
Yeah,
just cut it off. Right? Who cares if you get the flag? As long as you have the license, you've displayed them correctly during the actual live broadcast.
Yeah. Right?
Because the idea is that it's the post-broadcast. That's the problem, right?
Yep.
Cut it all off, right? If you're doing baptisms where people are doing worship behind it, you know, the church we worked at together, they do that. You know, that becomes difficult. I mean, I remember at that church, our worship leader was on a label, and our YouTube channel for the church wasn't whitelisted by his own label. Yeah. And so our worship leader's music that he wrote kept getting flagged on our own channel. Do you remember that, Cassie? So, yeah, it's just funny.
So the actions are, though, is make sure you're putting the CCLI legal stuff in the video.
The streaming license, because there's there's 17 different CCLI licenses you can get.
Yep.
There's a streaming one that actually gives you permission to stream it on the internet.
Yep. Put in a description. Yep. And then dispute flags as they come up and as you can.
With that CCLI license.
Yep. And then you talked, I think you even did you do a series of videos on this?
Yeah, I kind of chronicled it while I was doing it, right? So it was like, I figured it out, right? Yeah. I made a video about, hey, guys, I figured it out. Because the problem was that a lot of people were having is like they'd buy like loops from like Loop Community, right? And those loops weren't like, they were just, hey, we're performing a song, right? Because YouTube has, you know, the standard, hey, we can perform a song. Yeah. But when you start adding loops or you do something so perfectly, their algorithm and then copyright there gets a little wonky. And then it's like you're also using someone else's tracks. Yep. Right. And it's like that's where everything got really weird. So like I know even like that church that we worked at, like they stopped putting tracks on the web. They'd only use tracks in-house because they were tired of getting flagged. Yep. So the CCLI and a couple other places came out with their streaming licenses that were in conjunction with like Loop Community and a couple of those other places. And that stopped us from getting flagged for our loops, you know, and our tracks in the background, which was a big deal. Yeah.
And some churches use loops considerably, and it's a whole different experience.
And because they need to, because they're small and they don't have, you know, a keyboard player or a bass player, right? Or a drummer.
Like a cellist. Or
whatever. Whatever, right?
Whatever random. I'm trying to think of like what's a guitar.
Yeah, you know, like players. when you do a Hillsong song and you need 7 guitars, 3 bass players, 7 drummers. Yep. You don't have that many people. You have to have tracks for all of those instruments.
Yeah. Man, that's a lot of inputs.
That's a lot of inputs.
To be able to just boil down to like a stereo. But anyways, so people can also go watch those videos.
Yes. Yep. And go check those out.
See you're chronicling.
Yeah, I was a little defeated in the last one. Yeah. Because I just kind of like gave up.
Yeah. Yep.
Beaten down.
Yep. It's frustrating. I mean, legal stuff is frustrating. So it can be.
Especially when it doesn't really make sense.
Yeah.
You know, like it's like the things that do make sense, right? Like I get copyright, you know, but it's like I paid for a license.
Yeah.
Like that should allow me to do what I'm trying to do without any sort of like restriction, right? It's one thing if I don't pay for a license and I'm just trying to cover someone's song, and they're like, "Hey, but that's my stuff," and it's like, okay, well, I'm paying you, for it, right?
I'm just trying to think of like other scenarios where, we want to be like intentional about stuff, and make sure that we're doing things smart and like, not totally like CYA, but like just being intentional and being smart about things. Yeah, I think purchasing is another big area of that. Again, we've talked about that. We've hit on that in this podcast many times. Overarching like it's just a big stewardship. Yeah, it's under that umbrella.
Yeah, and I really don't like the pastor that says I don't really care, right? Because I've had those pastors, right? They're like, it's not going to work. So why are we even paying for this? Well, because we're required to, and scripturally, it says to obey the laws of the land. Yep. Right. So we want to be biblical. We want to do the right thing. Yep. Do the right thing. Yep. So,
and follow the rules, and I think it's as best you can as well. So yeah, I think another thing where I think about that is like rigging as well. It's like just you got to be smart and safe with that stuff.
Be insured.
Yeah, or just getting a professional to do it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, there's a lot of churches that try and rig things themselves, and it's like, I don't know if I'd have my volunteer rig a 400-pound sound system that hangs over people's heads.
Yeah.
It seems a bit risky.
Yeah.
So, all right, well, smash that subscribe button.
Yep.
Make sure you hit the notification bell. Comment down below. Have you guys had these same problems? What soundboards are you using? What color socks are you wearing? Are you a cotton polyester blend person? Are you a 100% cotton person? I like 100% cotton. What are you?
Whatever the enhanced shirts you just got, like those are killer. Those are great.
The black ones are 100% cotton. The other ones are 50-50.
I've only worn the black one so far.
The black one's 100% spun cotton.
I'm an actual tech
from
guy.
Sunday Cool.
Yep.
Shout out Sunday Cool.
Thanks for the comment. Let us know if you guys got any more questions or comments, or email us at Justin at enhanceavl.com or Jordan at enhanceavl.com.
I should start saying yours, and you should start saying mine.
Yeah, we should.
And that would really confuse people.
It could confuse people. Yeah. Just for the record, I am Jordan.
I'm Justin.
He's Justin.
Keep on enhancing.
Yep. And don't distract.